I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like...
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. I am joined by the man that hated the move for his team, and we talked about what would happen with Jim Montgomery, and we talked about he'd be a hot coaching commodity. I thought it would be next season, but he already has a job with a new team, and that's with the St. Louis Blues, and the man that did not like that move is Austin, and here he is now.
Yeah, and while I could say it's quick, it's a quick turnaround, I'm not all that shocked. I think that he's been one of the best coaches in the league for a couple of years now, and the Blues, I think, agree with me and decided to make a move immediately to make sure that no one else could get him.
Yeah, and it's a move that it's the right move for the Blues just because of no hate to their former head coach, but it is a guy that has proven himself, Jim Montgomery, in two places. He proved himself in Dallas, and he proved himself with the Bruins, and it doesn't take him long to figure that out. So it's the best option, and having someone, like you said, just to scoop him up, which before it is great. You got a feel for the Blues coach because I believe this was his first year as Bannister, I think, was hired for the Blues. But yeah, he came in as the interim, and then he got this season. Yeah,
he was there last year.
Okay,
for 54 games. Yes, like you said, as the interim. But this year they have a points percentage of just 43.2 with him as at home. And I truly believe they just think that Jim Montgomery is that good of a head coach. And again, I don't disagree with him. I think he's been one of the best coaches, a top 5 coach over the past 2 or 3 seasons. And I think it's still pretty inexplicable that the Bruins decided to let him go over the GM, who I think was the more obvious choice.
Yeah, I agree. I do think they were willing to ride it out with Bannister, but when you see a guy like Jim Montgomery, who I think is going to be really great for the Blues, just given what he's done, the Blues have struggled a little bit in their young players, and to me, the Bruins were already good when Montgomery came. He just lifted them up to even better heights, which was record-setting heights. I think this Blues team is similar to the Stars, who showed some promise. The Blues did, of course, win a Stanley Cup in 2019. But to me, this Blues team they just want to get competitive again. They are doing okay, but I really think he's going to help set that culture. I'm not sure it's a short turnaround for him, and he didn't have he didn't have the preseason to work with him. So I'm wondering how that's going to go, but that's the only challenge. However, it's not going to be bad, I think.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of rough sledding here for a couple games because he still has to get used to the players, get used to their kind of orientation, and also the players have to get used to him, how he likes to run the game, how he likes to roll lines, how he likes to match guys up. I'm sure the lines will change. I'm sure that the pairings will change. So there's going to be a lot of movement, but I do believe that this is the right move. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. It's the right move and something that I don't really like just because I don't want the Blues to do well. But yeah, he seems to be a guy that's going to center the helm. We talked about a calming presence. It's going to really help them because I think he's going to really push defense. I'm trying to see where they rank on defense. But
like goals per game or what?
Or like how do they rank as a defensive team in stats?
Well, if you do like goals against, which I think is what you mean, they're 28th of 32, which is bottom 5.
Yeah, that to me is something I think their defensive stats are just going to go up with Montgomery. That's something he really preached with Dallas, and I am interested to see how Torrey Krug, because he was a guy that was really good with the Bruins, and then he's with the Blues, and he's probably going to get even better. So, yeah, I think it's the right move, and there's not enough to say, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to take a lot for the Blues to turn around this season, but it's not impossible. We've seen a lot of new head coaches midseason turn teams around. I definitely think that's possible, but I think you'll truly see the benefit of having a Montgomery as your head coach next season when he has a full offseason to kind of build the roster he wants to build, but also adjust to the guys that he has coming up, the young guys, and truly have a full-fledged plan for them going forward.
Yeah, and to bring that up, you talked about just coming in the middle of the season. That, to me, reminds me of Rick Tocchet, who was an analyst on TNT, and then the Vancouver Canucks fired their coach and brought in Tocchet in January. But the 2023-24 season was Tocchet's full season with the Vancouver Canucks, and they had an incredible year. They were competing for the President's Trophy and a top spot in the Western Conference. So to me, that Tocchet had been out of the game for a little bit. That's something I think you can expect with the Blues, just as we're so high on Montgomery. So it doesn't have to be this season. It's just he's getting to know, and maybe we see them do some stuff. Because this isn't a perfect roster in St. Louis for the Blues. But I think you have the question figured out with Coach, and he can figure out, okay, I want this player. This is the player that needs, or this is something I can expect from him. So kind of, I would expect next year to be a huge year for the Blues, just given what we saw with Rick Tocchet and what he did with the Canucks.
Yeah, and Montgomery's had even more success than Tocchet. So I fully expect this to be an organization that looks back at this move positively, because it's definitely something that I didn't expect him to be available, obviously, him getting fired, but the Blues jumped on it, and now he's off the table.
Yeah, so he got a nice break of 7 or 8 days off from the job. So that is all we got. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions, and make sure you're following us to know when we post an episode, which is every day.